In this episode, we beam ourselves into the French quantum ecosystem with two brilliant minds from GENCI, Sabine Mehr, Chief Quantum Projects Officer, and Félix Givois, Quantum Computing Projects Engineer. From supercomputers to photonic QPUs, from neutral atoms to national strategies, Sabine and Félix unpack France's bold quantum ambitions. All with a healthy dose of HPC know-how and continental flair. Grab your virtual croissant and prepare for liftoff. We're going full on quantum.
Hello and welcome to Impact Quantum, the podcast where we explore the emerging industry of quantum computing. And you don't need to be a physicist or a PhD. You just need to be curious to participate in this, what's probably going to be the computing revolution of the 21st century. How's that for a hype machine, Candace?
I think that is just on target. I'm telling you, as you say, always one of the most curious, quantum curious people you know. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm eating it up. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So today we are going to be speaking with Sabine Mehr, and she is the Chief Quantum Projects Officer at GENCI. And we were also going to be speaking with Félix Givois. I don't know how I did on that. Oh, he's giving me a thumbs up. Excellent. I did a good job. And he is a quantum computer projects engineer. And if that doesn't sound like the coolest title ever, I'm telling you, I love it. I love it. So we've got some really exciting guests for today.
Yeah, that's the coolest title of the decade for sure. So welcome to the show. You both work for GENCI. So tell us a little bit about what is GENCI?
Okay, maybe I can start, and if you see anything lacking, Felix, don't hesitate to jump in. So GENCI was created in 2007, so that's not very old. It stands for Grand Équipement National de Calcul Intensif, which doesn't mean a lot in English, I guess. So we are the French HPC agency. HPC stands for High Performance Computing, for those who don't know. So we were created to kind of mutualize the acquisition of public computing capabilities between the main research organizations in France. The aim is to equip 3 national supercomputing centers with high performance computing capabilities that are dedicated to open research. So the researchers from industry and from academia in France, they can do open research using our capabilities. So it's accessible for free. You just need to publish some results from your research. So it's nice. And at first we acquired supercomputers. Then we moved on to AI also. We included AI also. So we have a lot of GPUs in our systems. And now we are also mandated by the French government to acquire QPUs in the context of the French National Quantum Strategy. So these QPUs will be installed in one of the national supercomputing centers in France, which is hosted by CEA. It's south from Paris. And so, yeah, we have already 2 machines that are coming in and expecting new acquisitions.
Very cool. So how many supercomputing labs are there in France?
There are a lot of them because
a lot of them. Okay.
we only equip the 3 main national supercomputing centers.
Okay,
so 2 of them are in the Paris region and one of them is in the Montpellier region in the south of France. Mm-hmm. But you have HPC centers all throughout the territory, basically. Maybe Felix, you want to add?
No, I think they don't have the exact number of the HPC centers, but the research team working on HPC is like there is, I think, thousands. Like in terms of projects, just counting for AI project, I think last year was 1,400 projects in AI running on one of our supercomputers. So yeah, there is a lot of people working on HPC in France.
That's really cool. Yeah, so, no, sorry, go ahead, Candace.
No. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. So like, Felix, could you describe like a typical day in the role that you have right now?
Oh, okay. So actually, I don't know if there is such a thing as a typical day for this job, because I think also it's related to the fact that the field of quantum computing is very moving. So you have a lot of things going on every day, and actually part of my job is to conduct some technological watch, and it's a lot of reading, a lot of contact with the different providers, different researchers. So that's nothing like a typical day, I would say. But I'm also responsible for. I'm also in charge of writing the technical specification of the systems that we install. So this is also a part of what I do every day. So when we install a system, I try to understand what we need it for, what we will use it for, and what specs we have to put in.
Very cool. No, I was wondering because, like, I know it's probably the ecosystem is probably different in the U.S. Like, I know that there's probably about a dozen official like supercomputing labs here in the U.S. Right? There's Los Alamos, there's Oak Ridge, there's one somewhere in the Bay Area, right? Like, so that's what I was thinking in the context. But I guess, so I think it's exciting that the French government is taking an active role in promoting quantum computing, right? How long has that been the case? Like, when did they see the quantum light, so to speak? Not to be confused with photons, right?
I guess the information that we had a good chance in the race to quantum computers came to their attention quite early, because some of the companies that have been created in the field have been there since like 2017 or 2018. I was thinking about Quandela and Pascal, which I think were the first that were created in this area. But we have an official national quantum strategy since 2021, January 2021.
Okay.
It was drafted after the report from that was supported by Paula Forteza, that was, I think, published the year before, or 2 years before that. I don't remember. And so the strategy has drafted a number of programs as soon as 2021. The one that we are supporting, which is called HQI for France Hybrid HPC Quantum Initiative, actually began at the end of 2021 for the operations, and beginning of 2022 for the, I'd say, administrative part. So that's around that time.
Oh, interesting. What are the main goals of the French initiative for quantum computing?
Well, I think what we have at the moment, so the reality in the field is that we are capitalizing on research that is quite old and in which we were very good, like research in photonics, for example, in lasers and so on. So we had this academic strength that we are trying to strengthen, to push towards the creation of companies, the creation of technologies that can actually be leveraged by end users. So we are building this broad cycle, or I don't know how to put that, in order to move from the lab, where we have these ideas, these proofs of concepts that are being refined, to make them and turn them into actual products that can be then installed in HPC centers for us, but at a broader level, because The National Quantum Strategy covers the broad spectrum of quantum technologies, so it also includes communications, post-quantum, quantum-safe cybersecurity, cryptography. We have also the sensing part and the enabling technologies that are being covered. But I guess we are trying to build programs that cover the broad value chain for these technologies. You know, Félix, if you want to add. Okay.
Well, you know, you've mentioned photonics, sensors. So you've mentioned different types of technology, like qubit types within quantum computing. What do you think the French government sees as the biggest opportunity that's going to happen? That's going to happen first. What's going to be the biggest breakthrough where they finally, you know, really can start everybody off from and say, look what we've accomplished, and move forward from there? Where do you think that would be?
Maybe I can go on this one, Sabine. So I don't know if from what we know, we think that the French government doesn't see really one technology. I think they want to kind of finance a lot of them, so that if one of them is going out and getting the next big deal, then the government will be part of it. And that's a bit what we are following in our strategy. So we are buying some machines, but we are not targeting in one technology specifically. Like we actually bought one machine with the neutral atoms technology, and we also bought one from photonics technology. And I think in the future, for the next system, we will also try to cover and to be a bit complementary of these two things that we bought. So, and I think from what I see that it's the same for all the different other programs.
So as it stands now, you're covering multiple projects. You know, is there one in particular that you would like to speak about a little bit, that you can talk about, that's super exciting?
Well, there is one that is currently being deployed. So of course, the maturity of the various projects is different. So I guess one of the first real accomplishments that we've had is the deployment of the Pascal system, because it was acquired in 2022. We are now finalizing the deployment on site within an HPC center. We've worked with numerous partners throughout Europe on the integration with the Joliot-Curie supercomputer, and we are about to give access to actual end users, and not, you know, a selected number that already have access to the device. So it's super exciting because it's something that has never been done. This is the first time that it's happening on this technology. It's been an adventure like no other with Pascal, with the CEA that is hosting the device as well. It has taught us so much, and I'm also speaking for Félix because you were the one following the broad installation and so on. But yeah, exciting times now and exciting times ahead also with this system.
Excellent.
Very cool. What are your thoughts on how quantum computing can change businesses, right? Like, what business do you think will be disrupted first with the development of a quantum computer?
From what we see from the project that are running on our system, or that are supposed to be running on our future systems, there is different topics that are impacted. So the first one I see is mostly about chemistry. So that's I think the most accessible application that you can have with the current state of quantum computers. So it's finding ground state of molecules or of different chemical systems, And I think this could actually bring an advantage to HPC codes that we see already. So that's the first. I think that's the first thing that we can see. The second one that will probably have more impact would be optimization. So there's a lot of people working on to find kind of an advantage using quantum computer for optimization, and I think this could have way more impact than chemistry. Like you can find optimization everywhere basically. So from what we see, I think optimization should be a good guess. I don't know if Sabine, you want to complete or.
No, I think it's valid to say that. As we didn't know that exactly, and we have some assumptions, but we also wanted to confront them with the perception of the market. We participated in an initiative that was launched as soon as 2020 by the Paris region, where they offered to co-fund some exploration projects that united industries coming from the Paris region that submitted a use case, a business problem that they have to startups from the Paris region. And there are numerous quantum startups in the Paris region and academic labs. And these experts are being co-funded by the region to pursue these explorations on the industrial use case. And so far, this initiative has supported the creation of as many as 18 projects in various fields. I mean, you had projects in the energy industry with players like EDF and Total Energy that some of you may know, projects in the pharmaceutical industry, projects in the defense and aerospace industry as well. Lately, we've got a number of projects in finance and insurance, banking and insurance, that were funded, also in chemistry. So really the aim is to educate industrial players on the stakes and also the complexity of quantum computing, the requirements in terms of training, education that they will face if they want to have also in-house experts in this field. So it's been very successful, and also it taught us a lot of lessons on what it takes to pursue these kinds of explorations.
Interesting. There are a lot of startups in Paris about quantum computing. That's interesting. You know, so what can you tell me about the startup scene for quantum computing in Paris? I'm just curious.
So in France, generally in France,
okay, the whole country,
there was a massive creation of startups in quantum computing. Some of them focused on hardware. And in the Paris region, you have, for example, C12 on spin qubits. You have Alice and Bob with their qubits, Quandela, photonic quantum computing, Pascal, neutral atom. You have Crystal quantum computing. They are pursuing the trapped ion track. I don't know if I miss any, Felix, on the hardware side.
I think WeLink, but it's not directly linked to computing, but it's a startup that wants to build an interconnection between quantum computers, a quantum link between quantum computers, and they base their technology on neutral atoms.
Interesting.
And there's another.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's another one, just not to forget them, in Grenoble, so in the south of France, near Switzerland and Italy, that is called Qubits, and they work on spin qubits as well.
Very cool. So this is like a pretty wide array of technologies, not just companies, but like there's a lot of companies working on different technologies. That sounds like a very healthy ecosystem.
Yeah, and what is nice is that they do get along well.
Well, that's cool.
So there's a very good atmosphere in this ecosystem, which I think Felix and I particularly enjoy. And additionally, there have been some creations of startups in the software field as well. So we've got companies like Colibri TD, Qubits Soft. I'm always forgetting some. I know that we also attracted some companies like Multiverse Computing, the Spanish company, that are working on the software side. We have also people from a big group that is called that was called Atos and now is Eviden, working on the software side and the HPC and quantum integration, and they have R&D teams in the Paris region, which also helps make the glue between the various players. I don't know, Felix, if I forgot anyone on the software side.
I see one, but it's a quite recent one. It's a Quantum Signal that wants to use quantum computer for finance, I think.
Yeah, and QPerfect also in the East. I think they are based in Strasbourg, and they're also working on the software side.
Oh, interesting.
That's very exciting how much you have going on, and the fact that, everyone's aware of everybody else. It sounds like it's much more, you say, more of a collaborative as opposed to making it a competition. So we ask everybody this question: what is the biggest misconception out there about quantum computing?
I think I have one, but it's a pretty classical one. It's to me, when I ask my family or my friends, for example, it seems that quantum computing is a thing that will basically solve every problem that everybody has, like global warming and so on. And what I tell everybody is that it's not the case. So at least in a short term, I think quantum computing is basically meant to solve very, very specific problems. And if you need to solve these very, very specific problems, then you may have an advantage using quantum computers. And to me, it sounds like the biggest misconception about quantum computing that I see. But maybe Sabine has another opinion.
Yeah, well, I guess the biggest one is that one, but I'm say the business side of the team. So for people like me, one of the biggest misconceptions might be related to the number of qubits. Like, to me, when I arrived in this field, the number of qubits was everything. And discussing with Felix, I discovered that, okay, it's nice to have a lot of qubits, but then you need to do something with them. So they need to be good qubits, reliable ones. You need to be able to entangle them and to perform universal computations also. So yeah, there are a lot of other requirements that are super important. And I'd say the tricky part is that the number of qubits is something that is easy to grasp from in a conversation or in a technical presentation, so you can be misguided also by this kind of information.
No, that's a good point. There's a lot of confusion, right? And that the two things you point out, it seems to be a consistent theme everywhere, right? Like, the idea that, once I get a quantum computer, Apple will have a Q phone or something like that, right? It's like, well, that might happen, but that's not going to happen for another 50 years, I think, and this has been an interesting year in quantum computing, right? Because, in December, there was Google announced Willow, right? And then at CES, Jensen Huang said, it's going to be decades before they're and then that went back and forth. He walked back that. But if you look at the round of funding, Candace, what happened last week? I mean, it was just crazy amount.
It was crazy. There was so much. There was
couple of billion.
IonQ it was like over $2 billion. I think it was IonQ acquired Oxford Ionics. Like, there's just a lot of big player movement going on right now. And a lot of investment is being thrown into quantum all of a sudden, when it was really seemed to be kind of tied up just with AI. I think this is a shift that we're seeing now, right? I'm interested to ask about, how AI and quantum could be used together, if that might relieve any of the current obstacles that you're facing in your work right now.
Well, and especially in regards to optimization, because a lot of AI problems are optimization related. So I can easily see that being a thing, and you both are nodding. So could tell us what you've seen over in France.
Yeah, that's actually true. There is a subtlety, I would say. Like that's, I agree with you that you can see AI as an optimization problem somehow. I wasn't thinking about the same type of optimization, because I think the biggest problem with AI is basically loading the data, at least for Gen AI. The problem that we face with quantum computing is that loading the data on a quantum computer is already a completely a very complex problem. So from what I see and from my position, I would say that this quantum for AI is not something that we will see in the next years. Or I don't have a date, because I'm not a witch, but from what I see, it's not something that I see arriving very soon. However, I would say that the reverse way, so using AI for quantum, is something that we will see for sure. Like already, I know that some people are using artificial intelligence to help them design their own chips, like in quantum computing, but also for other topics or other problems, even for learning the field, artificial intelligence can be useful. So I see way more usage of AI for quantum than quantum for AI in the short term. But who knows in the next decades what can happen? So this, I don't have a crystal ball.
Predicting the future is hard. Yeah. And I'm excited to hear about the rich ecosystem just in quantum space alone, right? Because there's a lot of Silicon Valley arrogance, right? Where you've heard the memes, right? What is it? The U.S. innovates, China imitates, Europe regulates, right? And I don't think that's fair, right? And actually, if you look at AI, right, Mistral is a French company. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity here, and I'm glad to see that there's public-private, partnership, and it seems like it's really has some good results.
So I guess we have it at the national level, but it's also very much strengthened at a European level also,
right?
Because for us it's critical also to matter. So playing at the European level is also a good way to matter, to win in the competition. And so I wouldn't be able to express a lot on that, but GENCI has been selected by your HPC as the coordinator of one of the AI factories in Europe. So we have this network of services and platforms that are supporting the also competitiveness in AI in Europe. So GENCI is very much involved in that. And at the European level for quantum also, we are working a lot with your HPC. They actually co-acquired the Pascal system that we are hosting, and they acquired the Quandela system that is coming in a few weeks now. So we are one of the hosting entities for these European quantum computers. And we are collaborating with the other hosting entities in Poland, Czech Republic, Italy, Spain, Germany. We have 2 in Germany, the Netherlands also, and Luxembourg now. So we are building a galaxy of HPC QC platforms that will be available for free for open research. For European research scientists, and we are trying to build also some bridges with other countries within Europe, but also outside Europe, to come join us in this adventure also. And at a national level, we have strong assets and strong partners, such as, for example, Le Lab Quantique here in Paris, but also I'd say Pôle Systématique, Terratech, which are associations that have identified some players in the field and that have brought them to the rest of the ecosystem, connected the dots to make sure that we leave nobody outside of this ecosystem and that everyone is well connected. So in our initiative also in France, we are building a network of the houses of quantum The translation in French is Les Maisons du Quantique. We have one in the Paris region, one in the east, one in the Bordeaux region, one near Toulouse and Montpellier in the south, one in Grenoble. And I think I'm not missing anyone. Thank you.
So it sounds like it's kind of like an open, like is it like an open source concept for within Europe and I guess whomever else you allow to come in? It just seems like has more of an open source mentality.
Yeah, that's an open community concept.
I really like that.
Let's put it like that. And the aim is at a local level to make sure that the quantum guys and the HPC guys talk to each other, make sure that they share their experience and that they participate in building this glue between supercomputers, classical computing, and quantum computers. That we try to find a common language also. And that they participate in this national initiative, and they can also be seen at an international level, European level and international level. So we are collaborating with people in the Netherlands, in these houses of quantum in the Netherlands, with local communities in Germany, like the Munich Quantum Valley or Quantum BV in Baden-Württemberg. And so, yeah, we're trying to really connect these ecosystems together to make sure that we are all moving forward together in building this infrastructure and the related support also.
Very cool. No, it's good to see that, like that cooperation, right? It doesn't have to be, I think the quantum ecosystem, there's already a lot more, I think, collaboration between the major organizations than you would see in typical kind of startup world, which I think is good, right? I think it's good for everybody. And I'm really encouraged at the fact that there's a lot of things going on in Montpellier, because I love the south of France. I mean, it was like when I lived in Germany for about 2 years and traveled a lot, and I was like, when I was in the south of France, I'm like, this is where I want to retire. So I just have to get my child out of high school, and then we'll move. But no, it's really good to see that, because I don't know if you've seen our Quantum World Report, but France has what's the score? 4 point something. 4.4.
They're very high on the quantum readiness scale. We put together all these country reports for quantum to see what they were all doing, and France is incredibly progressive,
right,
in what they're doing, outstandingly so. And
actually,
that's very exciting.
I can share my screen because we're on video. But yeah, so France, there's the French strategy, a national strategy around, give or take $2 billion. I don't know what the current exchange rate is, but I used to know that one by heart, like followed it every day.
But yeah, they're at 4.4, which is in the leading category.
Yeah. Basically, it's the highest score is 4.9 according to our index. That's basically the U.S. and China, and Canada. So yeah, 4.5 is pretty good. So, and I noticed, like, if you kind of start visualizing this, you'll start noticing patterns, right? You have, obviously the G7 countries are big players in this, but also you have emerging markets also getting involved in this. All that hard work was from Candace. So good work, Candace.
Thank you.
And but I think it's an interesting time to be in this industry, because I'm too young to have lived through the transition to transistors and kind of the silicon revolution. But it seems like we're all just about in the right place at the right time for what is going to be at least as big of a revolution. Some people will say bigger. I think there's definitely potential for it to be bigger. Even if it doesn't have to solve all the problems, right? Because it can solve the hard problems. And that's really where you're going to see a lot of, I think, innovation, right? Whether it's, obviously the security. I live in DC, Baltimore, so obviously the national security aspect is going to come top of my mind. But chemistry, material science, right? Medicine. There's just enormous upside potential for humanity.
Yeah, I guess for organizations like ours that serve HPC users, it's also nice to see which communities will benefit the most from these new technologies. So we've got more and more industrial end users. So it's nice to see also that they have some interest in these new technologies. A lot of our compute cycles are for chemistry. So as Felix said, if there is a gain, then for us it would be a huge change also.
Right. So talk to me a little. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and it doesn't have to be a computational advantage. For example, if it's just an energetic advantage, you probably know how much a data center consumes. So if it's just a reduction by a scale of magnitude, then we will be up for it, even if it's slower. So that's also cool to try to look for other types of advantage from quantum computing.
No, that's a good point, right? Because you know, I know Europe has some very aggressive greenhouse gas goals, right? And how do you reconcile that with new data center construction, right? Where I live, for instance, I live between 3 Mile Island, which Microsoft basically paid to get that started up. I'm not downwind, so if there's a problem, it goes the other direction. But but just south of me, that's just north and east of me, but just south of me is what they call Data Center Alley, which is by, if you ever fly into Dulles Airport, that they just have data centers everywhere, right? They've taken up farmland. They make a lot of money off of that. I think the county gets something, 55% of their tax revenue comes from data centers. Right. So, you know, when a company petitions to add a new data center, they're probably going to say yes. Right. I mean, it comes down to that. But a lot of the neighboring counties want to get in on that sweet money, too. But one of the interesting things is they want to build a power line from 3 Mile Island over to Dulles Airport area. And that's going to affect. I live in kind of a farm rural area. You know, that there's a lot of people upset about that because they're going to have to rip up farmland and things like that. So yeah, I mean, the energy requirements for doing this computation is not trivial anymore, right? It's a big deal, and it's getting even a bigger deal, right? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and also as we are procuring, and also in the US you already have, but we are in the process of doing so in Europe, the exascale systems.
Yes.
They are consuming a whole lot of power, and we are in a phase in Europe, I'd say, also where energy matters and the energy consumption that is acceptable to the community is being lowered. So if we also say that we found a way to compute, to solve as many problems using the power in a more efficient way, then it's going to be more acceptable also to the community. So it's a good time for these devices to come into play. Yeah.
No, that's a good point, because now, you know, you're the experts on the high performance computing world, or HPC. That's a whole world into itself, as I've recently discovered, like over the last couple of years. Like, it's a whole different world, and so I imagine energy, the exascale and the energy consumption is a big deal. So in that space, do you see an advantage? Well, I don't want to use the word advantage, but do you see that there's any good reason to simulate quantum computers on existing high performance silicon?
Yeah, the quick answer is yes, obviously, because from what we see, the useful quantum computer, as we can call them, will not be in the data center for some years. So using the emulation of these quantum systems to try to begin to make the code evolves to the quantum era is a thing that we have to do, and we can only do it by using this emulation. But even if we had like a useful quantum computer using this emulation, emulation algorithms to track errors or to see how it will scale is already something that is nice to have. So we see a benefit on that, of course.
Very cool.
I think it seems that because the French government is being so supportive of quantum and ensuring HPC access, that's why there is this really rich and fertile group of startups that, get to participate, and not just large corporations. And, with you talking about how you're trying to connect with other countries in Europe to do this, I just think that, that, again, that whole mentality is going to really allow the opportunity to explode.
Yeah, I think that's part of the dynamic that we're facing at the moment, and it's also nice because we see different scales of organizations trying to collaborate. I think it teaches a lot of lessons to one another also because of these public-private partnerships, which is always super interesting to see. But I think there is also a good part of chance because we also invested in some areas of research in the past that actually led to the construction of actual qubits. And so it's really, I think we are lucky to have bet on these scientific fields because now they are paying because they led us to building these qubit types that are actually very promising. So, but one of the other things that I think is interesting in this stage is that it's also disrupting a bit the HPC ecosystem because the quantum guys, they're adjusting to the HPC guys, but the HPC guys, they also need to figure out how they will host these devices, how they will integrate them, that they come directly from the labs sometimes. So these are devices that you are not used to seeing in HPC centers. So you need to adjust quite a lot to welcome these in compute rooms, for example.
I imagine that's a huge opportunity for customer service, customer success, right? For these companies, right? Like somebody, as I said in previous shows, like somebody has to rack and stack these things. Yeah. Sorry, Candace, I cut you off.
No, I was just thinking, like, what new skills do you think the next generation of HPC professionals, what are the new skills that they will need beyond the traditional computer science or engineering?
That's a tough question, I would say, because I think being an HPC expert already means to have a lot of skills, like because you need, of course, to master the computer science side and so on. But as you will apply high performance computing to a lot of different fields, a lot of different codes, you also need to have some kind of a curiosity to go beyond just computer science and to try to look at the physics that you try to simulate or the mathematics that you are trying to port on the supercomputer. So I don't think it really requires new skills. I would say it requires more curiosity, like to go in. Yeah, it sounds very philosophical. I'm sorry, but
no, curiosity is a core human.
Important.
Curiosity is a core driver of learning. So
yeah,
no, I totally get it.
Unintelligent people are not curious. I mean, like, right. With all honesty, like if you're curious, you're intelligent, right? Because you want to know more, and you know that you don't know everything. So it's kind of aligned. It's not, I think it's okay.
But it's also I think it's a nice time because we are at a phase where everyone learns from each other. So you can always be taught by experts of the other fields. So I was thinking about Félix. He speaks from experience because he arrived with his HPC background, and you also did some explorations on quantum computing. But now when you write the technical specs, you also need to get a bit deep into the physics. And so you need to get connected with experts in various fields and to try to really understand how it works. And yeah.
Well, and some of the smartest people I work with today have a background in high performance computing, right? Like, I mean, just because like you have to know you have to be very deep in a lot of different aspects and places, right? Whether that's infrastructure, spinning up the hardware, managing the hardware, but also kind of the computer science angle of it, right? You know, doing, plugging stuff in and networking isn't really, classical computer science, right? Like, there's a lot that is, you kind of have to just know, right? And 90% of that is you do it yourself, right? There's only so much you can read about packets and, spinning up clusters and things like that. You actually have to do it. Now, that's cool.
Yeah, and also I guess sorry.
No, go on.
And in HPC, if you want your code to run smoothly, you also need to understand what it runs on.
Yes,
so
that's
to
true.
optimize everything that you do to fit the infrastructure on which you will run it. So it requires a very broad set of skills.
I hate using the term full stack because that means so many things to so many people, but it really is a full stack skill set, right? You can't just write the code and make assumptions about where it's going to run. You have to understand the environment and conditions and the hardware it's going to run under. Yeah.
And I think that really applies to quantum computing, because we talked a bit about different technologies, but from my opinion, I would say that there is some specific problems that will run on specific hardware. So I don't think there will be one winner in the end. I think there will be some, for example, photonics for some specific problems. You will have neutral atoms for some others, and so on. So I think this type of hardware-oriented skills, I think it will kind of replicate for quantum computing, or I hope it will kind of replicate in quantum computing, because it's what makes the field very interesting, to have all this physics going around.
Right. I don't think it's going to collapse to one type of winning architecture, probably not in our lifetimes, if at all.
No.
Yeah, and also it's a bit complex because you need to find the right mapping between the problems that you want to solve and the platforms on which they run best. And for that, you need to not be tied to one of these technologies. So you also need to have neutral end users who will do this mapping. So it might take a bit of time.
Very cool.
This has been fantastic. I just have to say, I've learned a lot. I'm so excited about what's happening in France. Like, I'm really excited about it. And because I'm in Montreal, Quebec, we feel very connected. Language and, and the food and the culture. And even though you all pretend that what we're saying doesn't make any sense because we're not pronouncing it correctly, but we still have great love. But I'm really excited about the whole idea of the startup culture that's going on there. And I think that some of the best innovation comes from those hungry minds that are not from big companies, but have great ideas. And with a government that's so supportive, I think it's fantastic. I'm just really blown away.
Yeah, I think France is going to be a quantum success story. We'll look back in like 5 years, 10 years, and it will be a major player in this. Like, I'm even more convinced now than what I was, right? Yeah, everybody focuses on the U.S. or China, but I think more people should pay attention to what's happening in France.
Great, you should come.
Definitely. I haven't been there in ages. I tell you, some of the best food I've ever had was in, even like I was in the metro and I got like a chocolate croissant, and like even the one sold in the metro, which as a New Yorker, the idea of getting something in the subways is just, yeah, exactly. It's like, but I'm like, it was my first trip to Paris, and like I was on the metro and I was like hungry, and I was like, I'll get it. And I was like, oh my God, this is good. Like, yeah, so no, it was good. And like I said, the south of France is just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
If you're interested to know more about our ecosystem, there is a conference that is being prepared, I think, for the first week of December in the surroundings of Paris. That is called Quest IS. I think it also covers the broad spectrum of quantum technologies, but there will definitely be a day on the Thursday on HPC and quantum integration, and the morning on the Friday about community outreach in hybrid quantum computing that we are organizing, actually. Where we are inviting some initiatives from all over the world to foster the adoption of these new technologies. So you're welcome to come, and then we could meet.
Very cool.
And you
that
can
sounds
have
excellent.
A croissant.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah, the ones away from the metro system were even better. But no, that's great, and we'll let our AI finish the show.
And that's a wrap on this quantum rendezvous. A massive merci to Sabine Mehr and Félix Givois of GENCI for teleporting us into France's quantum future, where HPC and QPUs cohabitate better than most flatmates. Now, if you're wondering how to actually sell all this quantum wizardry to people who think, Schrödinger is a new luxury handbag brand, allow us to recommend a little light reading, Bluebook, the Quantum Sales Playbook, Selling Outcomes, Not Qubits. Written by your very own Impact Quantum hosts, Frank Larvine and Candice Gilhooly, this Kindle guide is your go-to manual for turning deep tech into real revenue. Learn how to sell what buyers actually care about: outcomes, not entanglement. It's perfect for founders, business devs, investors, or anyone who's ever tried to explain quantum computing at a dinner party. Find it now on Amazon and get ready to stop waiting for the market to catch up and start building it yourself. Until next time, stay curious, stay entangled, and remember, in quantum computing and sales, success is all about superpositioning yourself in the right conversations. This has been Impact Quantum. A bientôt.